Okay, Tov Lekulam, we want to thank Celia and the family for sponsoring this Dvar Torah for Parshat Korach. It's Le'ilui Nishmat Cecil Chai Meir Ben Henoch Mordechai Zecher Tzadik Livracha. It's in a way sad when we think of his Yortzeit, because he came on Aliyah, and he, Baruch Hashem, he and the family came over here to Netanya, but he didn't live a long time to enjoy the fruits of being in Eretz Yisrael. Yes, the short amount of time that he was here, he did enjoy. He loved being in Eretz Yisrael, but again, to be with Zelia and the kids, he wasn't zocher, and just as we know, passed away suddenly. Well, they were actually getting, he was actually getting a visa to go to Canada on a trip, and just suddenly, tragically passed away. And Zelia, we want to wish you Chayim Arukim, and that you should continue to show the strength that you have shown until now, that you carry the load by yourself. And with all that, try to organize the of the visiting of the sick, etc. So, Bezat Hashem, that amongst other things, his neshama should have an Aliyah B'Gan Eden. Yes, Korach's all about, as we know, all about machlokot. It's all about strife, argument, the challenge that Korach had on Moshe, and we know it all too well from the political situation now. Not only the political situation, generally the different ideologies in Eretz Yisrael. So I just wanted to quote a Gemara, an interesting Gemara in Masechet Erubin, vis-a-vis intellectual honesty and arguing. The Gemara over there says that, as we all know, there were two streams in Judaism, Shammai and Hillel, and the Gemara says that Shammai were much sharper than Hillel. In other words, as the majority of those belonging to the group of Shammai were sharper than those who belonged to Hillel. And yet the halacha was decided like Hillel. And the Gemara says, how come? What was it that made Hillel deserving that we always follow his opinion in the halacha? So the Gemara says that they were modest. The Shulchan Aruch, in one of his books, he's astonished by the statement of the Gemara, and he asked the following: just tell me, can you imagine, like, okay, let's say in primary school, there's a person who doesn't do so well, and the teacher then that wants to encourage him. So even though that he got only a grade of, let's say, 60% out of 100, nothing to write home about. So the teacher gives another bonus points, and says that so and so is trying harder, and hope that he'll improve. So he's on the report. It's now 70%. So that's exactly the analogy to what the Gemara seems to be saying. It's saying that Beit Shammai was sharper. They're saying Hillel wasn't so sharp, and as a bonus point, what they're going to do is they're giving the halacha over to go through the opinion of Hillel because of his humility, because he's a nice guy. Is that how we treat the halacha? Is that what truth is all about? So the Katz again, the Shulchan Aruch, was made by the Beit Yosef, was by Yosef Karo. He explains actually like this. He says, if a person wants to get to truth, it's not always about who's so sharp and who's so clever and who's so bright. There are many, we just have to open the papers and we can see there are many bright people, who say nothing less than crazy things. But what helps a person to get to the truth is his sense of humility. The person who's so is like arrogant and so he's so taken up with his brilliance and arguing this way and arguing that way and putting this one down and putting that one down. He's so as I say, taken up with his with all these mischakim, with all his brilliance and his playing around, that he doesn't get to the point. He doesn't manage to home into the point. And the person is humble, because he's humble, and it's not so much about dazzling but to get to what actually is the truth. That humility helps a person to get to the truth more. So more than the brilliance, it's humility, a true humility, which brings a person to the truth. And the Gemara now defines that in this context, what does it mean to be humble? In other words, when we're arguing one with the other, what is an expression of humility? So the Gemara says that Hillel, when he used to argue, not only did he used to bring the opposition side's viewpoint when discussing the arguments, but he would bring the opinion of the opposition first. First, he would bring what the others have to say. He would try to clarify about it, and then afterwards he would bring his own opinion. It's just that is what we call intellectual honesty. A person and you can always see it, a person who's interested in the truth, in getting to the truth. They've got the intellectual capacity to, because that's what they want to do. They want to get to what the truth is. So they're prepared to bring what the other side has got to say, not only just to understand, but to bring it. And if the person's really humble, like Hillel, to bring it first. Right? And then only afterwards to bring. I think when each time I think of this Gemara, I think of, for example, of Nachmanides. All the Rishonim were humble, but Nachmanides, every time when in his commentary to the Chumash, what Nachmanides does is he starts off the commentary like this. First, he brings on any issue, he never ever starts off with what he thinks. He starts off quoting Rashi, then he brings the opinion of the Ibn Ezra, for example, and then he asks question on them, and then he brings his own opinion. But he never ever, in his commentary, not once did he start off with his opinion without first quoting the opposite or another opinion. It's always basically it's Rashi. So we asked the question today, with all the argument, with all the fierce interactions between the different ideologies, which are so painful what's going on in Israel. One of the things that helps us to rise a little bit is, now you're speaking just about unity. Let's leave that for the moment and just speak about intellectual honesty. To be the pachot honest. And to be the pachot honest is, first of all, to hear what the other side's, just to hear what they're going to say. Sometimes we don't want to listen to apikosis, to heresy, but when it's not exactly that, then we can just hear a little bit, and then if we get to the level of Hillel, we'll start off with that, and that will help us then to that Hashem then will help us to get to the truth, to understand the truth better, and to avoid more machlokot. Shabbat shalom lekula.